Hey everyone, welcome back to Writing Practices. In today's video, we're going to break down how to write a notice of eviction letter. If you're a landlord or property manager, this can be a challenging letter to write, but it's essential to do it properly. Here is step-by-step how to write it. Check this out. Step 1. Start with your contact information. The first thing you need to do when writing a notice of eviction letter is include your contact information. This helps the tenant immediately identify who is sending the letter and gives them a way to get in touch if needed. For this part, you'll start by writing your full name or the name of your business, followed by your address, city, state, and zip code. Don't forget to include your email address and phone number as well, so they have multiple ways to contact you. This is important because it establishes your authority and keeps things professional from the very beginning. Step 2. Add the date. Right after your contact information, you'll need to include the date that you are sending the letter. This is crucial because it marks the official beginning of the notice period. You'll want to use the correct date format for your country, so in the US it would be something like date, month, day, year. This simple step ensures that both you and the tenant have a clear understanding of when the notice was served. The date is also critical if this letter becomes part of a legal proceeding down the line. Step 3. Address the tenant. Now, you're going to move on to addressing the tenant. You want to include their full name and current address, just like in a formal letter. This leaves no room for confusion about who the notice is for. It should look like this: tenant's full name, tenant's address, city, state, zip code. Adding these details ensures that the tenant is properly identified, and it shows that you're following the correct procedure. Step 4. Subject line, Notice of Eviction. Next, include a clear subject line so the purpose of the letter is immediately obvious. You can write, Subject, Notice of Eviction. This is important because it sets the tone of the letter right away. The tenant should understand from the start that this is a serious document and that action will need to be taken. Clear communication is key to avoiding misunderstandings. Step 5. Greeting. For the greeting, keep it professional but simple. A dear tenant's full name will work just fine. This maintains the formal tone while addressing the tenant directly. You want to keep it respectful, even though the topic is difficult. Step 6. State the purpose of the letter. Now you need to explain why you're writing the letter. Here's where you state that this letter serves as a formal notice of eviction. You could say something like, this letter serves as formal notice that your tenancy at rental property address will be terminated, effective, insert termination date. The key here is to be direct and specific. Mention the rental property's address so that there's no ambiguity about which property the notice is for, and give the exact termination date so the tenant knows when they need to vacate the premises. Step 7. Cite the lease agreement and reason for eviction. In this part, you'll want to reference the lease agreement that the tenant signed. This provides legal backing for the eviction. You can write, according to the terms of the lease agreement signed on lease agreement date, and under the applicable landlord-tenant laws of state, this eviction is based on the following reasons. Now you'll need to be very specific about the reasons for the eviction. It could be non-payment of rent, violation of lease terms, property damage, or another valid reason. This shows that the eviction isn't arbitrary and is based on legal grounds. Always ensure that the reason aligns with what's stated in the lease. Step 8. Set the move-out date. In this step, you'll need to give the tenant a clear deadline for when they need to leave. It's best to be very specific with the date and time. You might write something like, you are required to vacate the property by insert move-out date no later than insert time. Giving a clear time helps avoid confusion and ensures that there's no argument over when they were supposed to leave. This part of the letter should be crystal clear so both parties understand when the tenant must be out of the property. Step 9. Mention legal consequences. Next, it's time to explain what will happen if the tenant doesn't comply. You can say, failure to vacate the property by the specified date will result in legal action, which may include filing for eviction through the courts and seeking further damages or compensation. This part of the letter outlines the consequences for not leaving on time. It makes it clear that legal action is the next step if the tenant doesn't move out as required. Always keep this section factual and avoid any emotional language. It's about sticking to the legal facts. Step 10. Offer contact information for questions. As we near the end of the letter, it's good practice to provide your contact information again. This gives the tenant a way to reach out if they have any questions or concerns. You could write something like, "If you have any questions or wish to discuss this notice, please contact me at your phone number or email address." It's a small but important gesture to show that you're willing to communicate and that this process doesn't have to be confrontational. Step 11. Sign off. Lastly, you'll need to sign off professionally. Sincerely followed by your full name or business name works perfectly here. It keeps the tone formal but respectful. And that's it. Writing a notice of eviction letter may seem intimidating, but by following these steps, you can handle it with professionalism and clarity. Remember, the goal is to stay calm, respectful, and focused on the facts. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video on writing practices.